Okay. Well, the meeting to order. Good evening. This is a regular meeting of the Architectural Board of Review on July 1st, 2025. Call the roll, please.
Member Cottrell,
Present.
Member Dahlman,
Here.
Member Kerouac.
Here.
Member Wicks.
Here.
Chair Hunter.
Here.
And members Stradiff and Deegan are absent, and we have a quorum.
Good. Minutes from last month's meeting. Any comments, corrections?
I move to approve as submitted.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I'm gonna move a few things around a little bit, so we're going to consider, what is that item?
The item 6, design review.
Item
Stairs
6,
and Bridge and review.
the review for, review to Stairs and Bridge in Ravine Park. So representing the people that are gonna do it, John Hirsch. John, you wanna give a little speech?
Oh, yeah, I'll put the PowerPoint on the screen here. Yeah.
I think you're on slide 6.
Yeah, let me just start slideshow from the beginning.
Thank you.
And
No.
there we go.
On behalf of the Union Church of Lake Bluff, we are happy to be here. I'm John Hirsch and representing them. And we typically have done a work trip in the past to either Kentucky or Missouri. And this year, our pastors are retiring, and they typically had led the work trip to all of these places. And we've gone for about the last 25, 30 years, going out of the state. So with their retirement, we didn't really have the bandwidth to organize a work trip. And a number of people in the church said, well, what if we could do a project locally? What if we could contribute to the community that we live in and do something? So in the past, we've built, you can move to the next slide if you'd like. And then to the next as well. So it's typically been a work trip to poor communities in Kentucky and Missouri, where we have built handicap accessible ramps and decks and those type of things for people in extreme need. And it's a great trip for our kids. It's a great bonding experience for them. They have been doing it for years. Many of the kids who are involved, so they have carpentry skills. We have adults who also have carpentry skills. And we use it as more of an opportunity for the kids to get to know each other, learn about community giving to other people who need it. And so with the work trip not happening to Kentucky and Missouri, we thought, well, why can't we do something local that wouldn't be as difficult to stage from a logistical standpoint, but contribute something that is needed to be done here in Lake Bluff? And so we came up with the Ravine Project kind of after the Union Church event where they had the tour of the ravines in the spring. A number of the people kind of thought, well, the Ravine Bridge, the Eagle Scout project, which you're looking at here, is in need of repairs, and the step complexes were all in need of repairs. So we are proposing that our church would basically repair this bridge here. So the bridge is actually structurally sound. However, the deck boards are all rotten, which you can kind of see if you look closely. So we're going to remove the existing deck boards and replace them. They're all 2x6 by 4s. And so we'll purchase the material, remove the existing ones, dispose of the ones that you see there, and install the new deck boards. So this is scope number one, area number one. It's, minor, but it's a safety concern, and it's something that we have the bandwidth and skills to do. So the church will purchase all the materials, provide all the labor, do all the work, and we're planning to do it this weekend. So, so we have the people lined up, the volunteers. Hey, Jennifer. And so we're excited to do it. And I believe 4 of the areas are on Park District property and one of them's on village property, as far as my understanding is. But this is scope number 1. So we can move to the next slide. This is scope number 2. And so if you're and I have a map, I don't know that it's on here, but I submitted it to
We have it.
Mike.
Yeah, it's in the packet.
So if you look at the map, it kind of goes in sequential order from west to east. And the pictures that you're seeing, if you were to enter the Ravine Park from off of Evanston and walk down the first area, scope number 1 would be the first area you come to. It's the bridge that's identified on the overall site plan. Scope number 2 is the step complex that kind of leads you up to the new bridge area and gravel area that's off of Sylvan. And so originally this project wasn't in our scope, but as I was walking to shoot the grades and kind of figure out the engineering, I noticed that this was probably the most dangerous one. It's the steepest, the steps are in the worst shape, and it seems like this would be a good project to address. So, I kind of figured out how many steps we would need. Michael explained what the code is and how we needed to design it. I had my team do drawings, which we submitted per the code. And basically, we designed a number of steps, 6-inch risers with some pitch on them over a certain distance with landings. And so that would be scope number 2. And you're looking at a view to the east with the looking up the hill, and a view from the top of the hill looking to the west. That's not the bridge we're going to repair. The bridge we're going to repair is actually slightly to the left in the picture on the right. And we can go to scope number 3. Scope number 3 is literally right off of the step complex that was just built and kind of underneath the bridge that was just replaced. And you can kind of see there's 3 steps at the top and then a really steep decline that leads straight down towards underneath the bridge. So here we're planning to install, again, steps that would allow us to deal with the grade here and without needing a handrail based upon the village code. And we can keep going. So the scope number 4, this is not the full scope of it. It's just what the PowerPoint presentation shows. There's a existing pipe, 6-inch pipe, corrugated, that is deteriorated and is taking on debris. So as part of our project, we plan to cut the pipe out and replace it with Schedule 35 pipe that we will bury. So you won't see that anymore, and you won't be getting debris contaminating this this pipe. And then there's a small step complex in area number 4. And again, as you continue to walk down the path underneath the bridge, this is where you go up a small incline, and that's where these steps are. And then it actually declines, and then you go up the larger incline, which is scope 5. And we can go to the next slide. So scope 5, you're looking down the hill in the upper picture, and Sylvan is just to your left in the top picture, and it's to your right in the bottom picture. And these step complexes, it's really deteriorated, and you can see they've really settled and are coming undone, even to the point where people are walking to the left on the incline rather than walking on the steps because the steps are so decrepit. So again, we would remove the steps, dispose of everything and build the new steps, 18 steps over that run with the grade change, landings as we designed. And they would be timber steps attached with and overlapped and attached with number 4 1/2-inch rebar, 2-foot that would be attaching. We'd drill each of the timbers and hammer those down into the ground. So very stable. And then use grade 9 gravel to create the landings inside the timbers. We're almost ready, honey. That's my wife, by the way.
Congratulations.
And we can go to the next. So again, all the participants are self-insured. We designed it to meet code so that nothing that we're going to be building. I think there was a concern with the park district that if we built something, their insurance company wanted to make sure that, well, is it built to code? Is it going to be built professionally and not just be like an Eagle Scout project where you're not building it to code. Someone could injure themselves and then the park district could be liable. So they were comfortable with the fact that, as long as we're submitting it to the village for permit and the village approves it and inspects it, they were comfortable with moving ahead with the project. We can go to the next slide. So timing, funding, approval, the project will be done if you approve it and we get our permit, which we have obviously we're in the process of submitting to and Mike is aware of that. So the project would be done this Saturday and Sunday. And that's the idea is we knew that a lot of the kids who have participated in the work trip in the past are going to be in town this weekend. And so we're going to have pretty good participation as far as the number of kids. I think we have about 15 kids lined up and probably 6 or 7 adults. So I think we can accomplish what we're trying to set out to do. Now, we will be doing the first 3 projects first. So we're not going to take on, like if we can't finish it, we're not going to leave something half done. We're going to plan to finish what we can. And then if we have more time, we'll take on the next project. But I don't want to say, okay, well, we're going to do it all. And then, the weather doesn't cooperate or something happens. What we plan to do is to take on the projects that we can, complete what we can, make sure that it's safe and able to be used immediately after we finish. And it's fully funded by the Union Church of Lake Bluff. So we have donors who are helping to buy all the material and obviously we'll provide all the labor. So there would be no cost to the village, no cost to the park district. And it would be a nice change for people who use Ravine Park, which when I've been down there, there's actually quite a few people who hike through there. So I think it would be a really nice change. We talked about we will submit for the permit, which we're literally in the process of doing. I had my team filling out the permit application. We created the drawings that you're reviewing. And here we are at the Architectural Board of Review tonight.
Thank you. It's amazing. It's
Thank you.
amazing. So, Sue, what do you think?
I think it's awesome. Thank you. Really, thank you. My kids both participated in those work trips.
No,
Got so much out of it and loved hours in ravines. So it's great. Thank them. And just looks great. And good for you for doing all this work.
I mean, I think it will make a big difference for Lake Bluff.
Yeah,
And,
it's really nice. Thank you. I would say, the only thing I would say is, as a person who's paranoid about Lyme disease, you just make sure that they do tick checks and, you're supposed to wear light colored pants and tuck
Right.
them in your socks. And if they're going to be down there and
Yeah.
there's so many
No,
deer
it's a
down
good
there.
idea.
I don't know. I'm just super paranoid about that.
For
but
sure.
just So you just
And use
throwing that out
use
there.
spray for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
Spray
Great
and all that
recommendation. Yeah,
stuff. But that's
Yeah.
all I got.
thank you.
As a fellow Lyme disease person, I
Yeah.
second that. And my children also did a different church, but we love the work trip things. I do, I mean, everything is amazing. Let's say you get 3 of the 5 projects done. Would you come back and finish the other 2 some
Well, I
point?
mean, obviously, we'd have to figure out a schedule
Yeah.
when we could come back. And it probably wouldn't be immediately in July.
just-
But if, once we get approval, the idea is we would like to finish all the
Yeah.
projects. We have the funding to pay for all the materials. I plan to buy all the materials.
Yeah. Great.
So, the idea is we do as many projects as we can finish this weekend and
Yeah.
depending on the weather and how people are working and so forth. But complete the ones we can and if necessary, come back at a later date to finish them, which would mean we would have to cart off whatever
Yeah,
materials we
right.
don't use and bring them back, but we're willing to do that.
Yep. And then do we close that, do we create like a do not enter kind of situation during those 2 days and for the ravine or?
That's a good question. We hadn't talked about that. What is?
Well, I think that, I don't know about do not enter, but I think that we can use caution tape
Okay.
and cones and so forth to let people know, hey, this
Yeah.
is under construction currently, so that they're not surprised or
Mhm.
walk through something that's midstream. So I'm happy to
Right.
bring construction barricades
Yeah.
and cones and caution tape and warn people
Yeah.
of what.
I mean, it's
is
pretty
happening.
apparent, but still, I mean, it's,
Good point.
who knows? Yeah. No, it's great. Thank you so much for, yeah, it's great.
I also agree. I think it's a wonderful project. I walked the whole route the other day from what you're doing. And I came up with 2 questions. Number one is, has the Park District approved it? Because there's nothing in here that says the Park District agreed.
Yeah, so this presentation was actually from the Park District. Yes, they did. So Parks and Beach Committee approved it and George Russell liked it so much that he said he's gonna volunteer. So I thought that was really nice.
The other
So
thing is, I was very happy to hear you say it's all designed to code because I don't know the code requiring railings, but some of these are fairly steep and I wonder if there shouldn't be some kind of a rudimentary railing, which wouldn't be that hard to add to it.
So I think the way the existing ones were designed, the code should have required railings on the existing ones, but on the new ones, he's gonna have a landing every 2 or 3 steps and you only require railings when you have 4 or more risers without a landing in a row.
Well, there was one of them that you showed the picture on that looked steeper that you wouldn't be able to have that much of a landing. But if that's the case,
I literally went out to each
Mhm.
area with my laser level and I shot the grades.
Yeah.
So I know what the grades are, I know what the lengths are, and then we did the engineering to figure out how many steps we needed and what size landings, and I had my designer draw all that. So what we drew fits with what Mike had, because we talked. I
Mhm,
came in
right.
and it was helpful. I thought it was only 2. So the fact that we could do 3 made our job a little easier because we were actually planning to do railings on 2 of them. But we designed it. I extended the step complexes a little bit and was able to figure it out. Still sticking to code, but enabling us not to have to build railings because I kind of felt like it would be time consuming.
Oh, sure.
And maybe we wouldn't be able to accomplish as much if we were building railings.
But I think that's, as long as you've done the engineering on it, I think that's great.
Yep, I have really nothing to add. I think it's a great project and wish you luck.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be warm this weekend,
Yeah.
but it's in the shade, which is nice.
Yeah, and I will say, again, it's amazing that you've got kids that are willing to do this and adults that are willing to do this. I mean, my family's been in that ravine for 49 years.
Wow.
My kids who were well over 50 now grew up in that ravine when there was nothing.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
this is just great. It's just great. And you covered all the bases. So unless anybody has anything else to say, let's move forward on this. So we need a motion.
I move the project be approved.
I second.
We got a voice vote.
Yep. Member Wicks,
Aye.
Member Kerouac.
Aye.
Member Dahlman,
Aye.
Member Cottrell,
Aye.
and Chair Hunter.
Aye.
Okay, it's approved.
So what are you gonna do about weather? This is,
Well, we're gonna hope for the best, but the weather actually looks, originally Saturday looked like rain,
Yeah.
but it looks like it's gonna be okay for both days.
well,
So-
mostly it's in the shade, but there's no breeze down there.
Well, I will tell you, Missouri's a heck of a lot hotter than Lake Bluff, East Lake Bluff by the lake.
Yeah.
So they're used to mid-90s.
Yeah.
So we will be delivering the material on Thursday, so I'll partition that off so that we have it on obviously we'll be able to get a delivery on
Right.
Friday.
Right,
So, but we'll start on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock.
yeah, great.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good luck. I'm
Everybody.
gonna walk over and watch what's going on.
Yeah.
Just live around the corner.
Well, I mean, if you want to come down and visit us while we're working, we certainly will welcome you. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I think the applicant for item 4 is online, if we want to go to that.
Which one is,
The Forest Bluff optometry.
you wanna do that one next?
Sure, let's do that. Let's see.
Cause that's a kind of a no-brainer too.
Right, exactly. I'm just trying to.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Happy anniversary.
Yes. This one will be John first because he's here.
Oh, no, let's go to the other one because it was on that order on the agenda and
Okay.
they're here. I'll share the,
You there?
okay, yeah, so do you want to announce it and ask them?
Okay, we're gonna move to item 4, which is consideration of sign permit for Forest Bluff optometry at 207 South Waukegan Road, which is basically in Carriageway.
All right, good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can.
All right. My name is Aaron Hurring. I am representing the client here. I'm the owner of Signorama Libertyville, who will be doing the installation. These are fairly standard front lit or illuminated channel letters. White faces, black returns, no raceway. They're going to be flush mount directly against the wall. And then obviously all electrical will be hidden behind the wall. Don't know what else you guys need to see or know, but pretty standard set of channel letters going up on the brook face there.
Art, you have any questions?
No.
Okay, good. Neil?
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand exactly where it's going to be located as far as the height is concerned. From the top of the curved arch to the bottom of the fascia. We've had installations that went right up to the top and they looked awful. I'm not sure. I assume that what's intended is that the sign be centered between the top of the arch and the bottom of the fascia. But I just wanted to ask you if that's the case.
That is definitely the case. Yep.
It's matching the double, the signage is there, right?
What's that?
Throughout the whole complex there that has the same size and the same typeface. matches
I don't know if I can speak to every typeface that's out there, but it is a fairly common, again, type of sign. Yeah.
I looked at them and they all look the same.
The other thing is there's a disconnect toggle switch. Is it within one of the cabinets or is it mounted on the outside of the cabinet?
It'll be actually behind the wall inside, there's a point of entry up in the ceiling there behind that wall. It'll be tucked in there.
Okay, because the drawing shows it mounted on.
Yeah,
the
it's a
outside.
fairly standard drawing that we just pull. But yeah, it'll actually be inside the wall. in this case.
Okay, that's all I had. Otherwise, I'm comfortable with it.
Matt?
I have nothing. Looks good.
Sue?
Yep, same.
Okay, here we go again. Who wants to make a motion?
I move to approve as submitted.
Second?
Guys are playing boom, boom, boom. Roll call.
Okay, Member Cottrell,
Aye.
Member Dolman,
Aye.
Member Gerber,
Aye.
Member Works.
Hi.
And Chair Hunter.
Hey,
Okay, it's approved.
All right, thank you very much.
Very well.
thank you. Okay, John, you're up.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good.
So our proposal has a number of adjusted signs that were existing already, and then a few new ones as we kind of combine both of the spaces from the existing half and half space into the new bar next door. Okay,
Go ahead, John.
Okay, we're ready.
do I get a clicker?
Oh, no, just let me know and I'll advance it.
So
We're
Venetia,
not
this
that high tech.
replaces we had a temporary kind of a red covering up there that we took down, but this actually replaces the previously approved GDR wine and beer sign. So very similar. It's a just white vinyl lettering that takes up the space there with a clear background behind it. So a lot of glass and white lettering. So it's, you know, it can't be seen too much. Just goes over it simply like it is. You can see it on the door the way it is now. That's one of them. Just want to go through each one by one.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
Sure.
This replaces the half and half. We had a combination half and half and JDR sign on this part of the window before. So this just cleans it up and just says just half and half and describes the retail shop and what time it opens. So it's actually about the same size, but just one logo now instead of two. This does the same thing. It takes 3 logos on the sign we had before and just condenses it down to 2. Sign is the same size as the barber shop and then half and half written on this. So again, this is replacing an existing one. This one is new. This is on the previous Prairie installation. This just has the same size and same half and half sign that's on the other window that applies to the front door here. Without adding any other signage on the other windows. There used to be other signs, any other windows and other lettering and stuff. We took all that off. So the entire facade just has the one sign on it. And then this replaces the previous Prairie sign that was up there with just the logo and a little bit of description on it. And then this is a duplicate of the sign that's at the Innovazi corner. We've been working with Mike on taking this and mounting it directly to the brick and getting rid of the pedestal, which will clean up the presentation of it and make it a little bit neater and cleaner. The one thing that is different about the brightness of these screens versus the original screen that we put in Innovazi, which was I think 13 or 14 years ago, are that the new screens are adaptable. So their brightness changes depending on how much daylight and sunlight is on the screen itself. So it dims way down at night and it gets brighter when there's direct light on it. So it's adaptable in between. The original sign that we had didn't have that feature back then. So the newer signs are able to adapt and dim themselves more at night than the old ones were.
I guess
And that's it.
So were there 2 blade signs or 3 in this?
So there was one for Prairie and one for half and half. The one for half and half was existing. The one for Prairie was existing in its location. It just had a different sign on it. So it had the old, the antlers was the old Prairie version. And now the new one just has the half and half part. But the framework and the structure of what's there, the supporting that piece is exactly the same. We didn't change that.
Okay.
We just put a new sign on it. Same size as the old sign.
Right. So this one and that one, that's
Those
just the
2 are
same
both
sign-
new.
That's the same sign or 2 different signs?
The
2
same
of them.
sign.
Same sign?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, same sign and 2 pictures, okay. got it.
Yep. They're in the place of where existing signs were before, but they weren't ours. So for us, this is all brand new,
Yeah, okay,
these 2.
okay.
And that just replaces one that was there before.
Yep.
Anybody have any comments? Is that it, John?
That's it.
Okay.
I think
I
that's
had
enough for.
I had a question regarding the electric, the digital screen. You say it's gonna be mounted on the wall,
Right.
but I'm looking at it and it looks wider than the brick that's behind it. Just where is it gonna get mounted?
It's gonna go, it's actually gonna go exactly where it is now. Right now, it's 4 inches off the wall. So it'll go in the exact same place it is now, just on the wall rather than 4 inches off the wall. The mounts for it are only about a foot wide. So it'll mount to the brick just the way that it is now.
Does it go beyond the brick? I think that's what.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh.
it's gonna be, you know, the brick is say this wide.
Right.
the
You know, I
sides
didn't
this
measure it
way.
exactly. It's pretty close. It might look a little bit wider now just because of the angle of the picture and the
Right, I
relationship
can
to it,
appreciate
but-
it's foreshortened, okay.
Right.
Well, I guess it'd be kind of important to me to know what it's gonna look like when it's attached to the building. But aside from that, you know, I don't have a problem. The one thing that I kind of wonder about though is, you know, all of the signs exceed the minimum. And, you know, like in the case of the half and half retail here, you know, you've got all this glass, but it's only this, if I understand the way that it's calculated,
Mhm.
it's only this window here that's
That's
Yeah.
right.
used in the
yeah.
computation, so.
In the ABR, it does it by individual pane of glass by the total outside dimension, regardless if most of that, the interior of that dimension is all glass with small lettering, it still only uses the outside frame of to do the calculation. So
Doesn't show up as the box.
Right. Well,
Glass.
the other thing is out in the industrial districts where we rewrote that part of the sign code
Yeah.
more recently, we
Right.
calculated it based on all the glass and the
Yeah.
tenant space. And in here, the code is on each individual window. So that puts them at a disadvantage to do it by the individual window.
we did try to keep it where it looks proportionate to all of the glass for the entire frontage, and we didn't try to use too much of it. So, and we don't have multiple signs on the other windows. We try to leave as much of the glass open as we could.
So these are all there now, Art. They've all been.
I know, I was over there.
Yeah,
I thought, gee,
Unfortunately,
what's,
yeah.
so this is late. We could
Yeah.
we can charge a late fee.
you could, I did
the,
offer to take, the installer did do it a little bit quicker than we were
Right.
planning on. We did offer to take it down, just so we're all on the same page.
The other comment I would make is on the door. And again, you know, you could have an entirely glass door. Or you could have one with a half light. And the amount of sign you could put up would be
A postage stamp.
much, much smaller. And yet it's the same opening. So I would say that the way we're computing this stuff, to me, doesn't.
We went through that.
All right, okay, I won't-
I'm just
I
saying,
won't-
it's hard.
You need to educate me. That's okay. Right. Okay, that's all I would say. I would like to see that box mounted on the wall in a fairly attractive
Yeah.
way. That doesn't look like it's just kind of stuck on there. But beyond
think-
that, I don't have any.
I think that mounting on the wall will definitely make it look cleaner than it does now with the large pedestal that it
Looks like
has.
it's a temporary.
Absolutely, but my concern is it goes up
It's too wide.
and the
Yeah.
brick it's significantly wider than the brick.
Yeah.
And it's gonna look,
We could do this. If
After-
it is any wider than the brick, we won't mount it on the wall. We'll figure out something else for it. Because I agree, we don't want it to stick out past the brick.
Yeah.
It wouldn't look the right way, so.
So it looked like there's a bracket on the back of that. Does that use to mount it to the wall? Would that
Exactly,
hold
yeah.
it
The
up
bracket's
about
about 3/4 of an inch deep.
Yeah.
So that's what mounts on the wall, and then you hang the unit over the
So,
bracket.
so it'll hold it off the wall by like an inch or so.
About an inch total, yeah.
Yeah, which might be good because then you don't have it
Yeah.
right up against the
You won't
brick
see it,
and
right.
then overhanging, you know, it's kind of hovering off the brick a little bit.
When you talk about the amount of space you're using on the window, there was a similar thing to this in Highland Park at a Citibank branch, where they painted a blue stripe around two sides of the whole window. and then put the wording kind of in the middle of it. And the question was, does the blue stripe around half the building
Count as,
count
right.
as part of the sign? And the answer was no, it's part of the decoration. The sign enclosed just the area where the letters were.
Right.
And so I would almost think the same thing here that I
And,
do.
well, that's,
For that banner.
yeah, the banner has always been that way, yeah.
Yeah.
since-
But is the original signboard, is that gonna still be used or is it gonna be removed?
Which original
One on the
signboard?
corner.
The one on the corner of the main?
Oh, no, that's still gonna be there. Yeah.
That's gonna stay?
Yeah, because that's for Navazi and that one's actually, that one's, I don't know. That's not on the wall, no. The one of the corners is gonna stay. That's the same place and size that it was, in the previous one we got approved 13 years ago.
Is that the same unit?
It's the same unit, yeah.
Really? So that's 14 years old.
No, the two unit, I'm sorry, it's not the same unit as, it's the same unit as the new one for half and half.
Okay.
It's not the same unit as we put on there. No, the one we put on there lasted about 3 or 4 years, because of the type of display it was, the sun burnt it out. So we had to get a replacement for it. So that's one of the reasons why the new ones have better shielding on them. They're better displays and they're adaptable, so they dim at night. The new ones now are about half the level of brightness that the old ones were at night.
Yeah. Were you done?
Or
Yeah.
Just, when I walked by a half hour ago, I noticed that every one of the benches was in use.
That's the idea.
I'm not sure that I like the picnic benches there, but
Yeah, everybody has.
clean that up.
We did it for a couple of reasons. One reason is that one of the fights that we have with regular tables and chairs are the way that customers will move them and leave them. We always try to we always need to have that 5 feet of space in between for passersby and for ADA and stuff like that. And we have a lot of customers that will move them as they sit down and dine. So it's a constant struggle with consumers and with us trying to do that. With the picnic tables, we don't have to worry about that anymore. They stay where they are and they never get moved. So that's one of the benefits of having them, the way that they are. Also, they're green, so it matches our interior decorations a little bit.
Matt?
We'll do the picnic table some other day. The,
Also, it is a casual pizza place.
Yeah.
That serves lots of beer and affordable
Yeah.
wine and stuff like that, so.
for the electronic sign, I would rather simplify it and mount it than keep it the way it is and have that big base, so if that's
I agree.
a conversation to be had. I think it's still not amazing, but it's better than what you have right now.
I
So
wish we could find them where they were really thin.
Yeah.
But the issue is that the amount of cooling that's needed inside
sure.
for the computers that run it.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time looking to find these and we could not find them in a really thin, elegant version.
Yeah.
For an outdoor use, it was tough.
it's the better way to mount a bigger item, I think, than
agree.
the thing. And then my only other is the new blade sign that you have over the old Prairie entry.
Mhm.
It kind of sits a little odd, can you just go to that one real quick?
Sure. Let's see, where were we?
I'm sorry, not to.
That one?
Yeah, it kind of intersects the window a little bit, but not, it's not quite intentional. I don't know if we could, like Prairie had long chains on it, so that elevation worked, because
Right.
the sign, we centered it on that window is a very intentional location. This one feels like what you did, right? You just put your sign where the bracket was.
Right.
I don't know if there's a way to either, and I don't, I haven't been up at the bracket situation, but if you could raise it, so maybe it's all within the brick, or you lower it so that but right now it looks like it was just done to be done and not quite intentional. That'd be my only comment.
The lowering part of it, with the amount of, we actually tried
Yeah.
it to be, because it actually comes with lower chains.
Yeah.
And the first weekend we put it up, it almost blew off.
Well, it's a light, yeah, it's a very light
It is.
sign, so I get that.
What we could do is actually, we could shrink it by 20%. That way it would fall within the entire brick. You just make another sign and make it smaller.
Yeah. I just think I don't know who else would memorize, but
Yeah,
if we're here to critique, that'd be my critique, is if we could get that up, that'd be great.
yeah, I think shrinking it down would actually make it,
Yeah.
it would fit better.
And there's
Making it
a,
longer won't work because
Yeah.
of the wind, so.
yeah, and you have a lot of half and half signs, it's all there. So I think it's good to call, I love the blade signs, so I'm all for it, of course, but if we can just get that correct a little bit, that'd be
Yeah, if we
great.
knocked it down by 25%, it would accomplish it.
Yeah,
It would fall within the brick that
yeah,
way.
okay,
We could do that. That's easy.
great.
So,
I just had a question about I had a couple things, but I had a question about the menu thing we're gonna mount on the wall.
Mhm.
When you say it dims at night, does it go off at a certain point or is it always on through the night?
It's always on through the night right now, but we can actually just put a timer on it and have it turn off. So we can actually do that about midnight and just turn it off.
I think
Yeah,
if you
I mentioned
could-
at the mic last week that that's a change we can make to it.
Yeah, I think that might be good because I think across the street there are
Apartments.
and people might be like,
Yeah.
that's great. That was my one thing. And secondly, just about.
It isn't brighter than the street lamps though.
It's not?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, then maybe it's a non-issue really. And my second, I was gonna bring up the picnic tables, certainly not to blindside you, but I definitely understand you wanting to differentiate, like, okay, you've got Innovasi and that's like a kind of a more formal place and you're differentiating between the different places. I just wanted to let you know, I've had several people say to me, oh, I thought those were temporary, and it kind of expressing they felt that they were too casual for the street itself. And I personally have to kind of agree with that. And I do get the picnic table vibe as far as a pizza place, but I do think the tables themselves look too rough. And when you're saying green, it doesn't read to me like intentional green. It reads to me like womanized, sort of inexpensive construction. So I guess my input to you would be, if there's a way to accomplish the good things about the picnic tables, but with a more intentional finished nature to them, whether that be staining them or.
They're actually stained green
They
and they're
look,
about $1,500 each.
no, and
So they
I,
weren't, we definitely didn't pick like a cheap
right, and,
table.
but
We
I think.
tried to pick, we actually intentionally chose a finished green picnic table.
Picnic table. I'm just as input wise, I think you paid a lot, you had an intention, but I'm not sure that it's accomplishing what you're intending. Because I've had I really truly many people say, what's up with that? And I'm like, well, I'm not sure, and so I guess I would say input wise, that I'm not sure it's coming across as you intended.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's just my input. And it really does read so different from everything else that's going on that street that it really does stand out. And I'm not sure it stands out in a cohesive way. I mean, I definitely like the idea that it's more casual and people are sitting at them and they seem perfectly comfortable and it's neater, there's not chairs all over the place and all
Right.
those good things. And just secondarily, I think, we all appreciate you being in this town and everything you contribute. So truly all those good things, but I think that particular choice, I don't think is reading how you're intending
Okay.
for many
Understood.
people. That's all I got.
Okay. We'll give it some more thought.
Yeah, I don't know.
We always, we always take everything people give us and
Right, and I'm
listen to it and try to change and adapt to make
Yeah.
things better. So
Yeah,
I understand.
Matt?
I said my piece.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, he
Okay,
did.
okay.
I mean, I can second the picnic table stuff. But I went through the signs. Yeah, I think hopefully we handle the street furniture in a more formal way. So that we don't have to have these kind of conversations.
Yeah.
That the
no,
code takes care of it.
we have talked about that, I think, as
Yeah.
a body that
Yeah.
we're going forward, we're going to try to have a more formalized review of the furniture going into the street because there really isn't that right now as far as what it looks like. It's more about like how much space it's taking up and all of that. But we're kind of realizing that it is a big, since the pandemic, even a big part of what you see when you go down the street. And it is like a real introduction to your restaurant. It's what people see before they go in even, so it's like what they call, with all that curb appeal. I think it's a real thing,
Yeah.
and like the topiaries that you put out in front of Innovasi are lovely and the furniture and it really conveys that sort of, you know, atmosphere that you're going for. And so I think that's all I got, but
Yeah.
I am rambling, but you know.
Understood.
Yeah. Well, then I would second that if we're talking about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
picnic. Yeah. I mean, I thought they were temporary, like that was like your temporary solution until you got a formal solution. It doesn't maintain the integrity of that block. And I know you have an amazing product. And it felt like that wasn't the same level that everything else is that you've produced for us. I've even looked at the manufacturer of your corner furniture and used it at my house because it's a lovely line. But yeah. But you know, I think we'll have to handle that as a board to make it more of an official act.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna agree with what everybody said, as far as the signage, except for the one thing that the barber shop has a little standing sign.
I have nothing to do with that.
Oh, I know, I'm just wondering, yeah, if you just on your sign up here where it says half and half and barber, you know, on the sign, an arrow or a finger pointing down or something like that. So maybe you don't need that temporary sign.
Right.
Well, it's not yours. But you know, that was just one suggestion. I was standing there in pretty bright light this morning. And that signboard is like, it is so readable. It's like better than my iPad. As far as the picnic tables, I agree with what everybody said. It was kind of a shock, when they showed up. But what is kind of disturbing is the size of them, and there's two of them. So the aisle down the middle becomes restrictive. And and I saw this a couple of weeks ago.
You mean the main sidewalk?
The main sidewalk.
It is 5 feet. I mean, it's the required space that we're supposed to have.
You know, it's like a 12-foot sidewalk or more than that. But anyway, there was a couple that had a Burmese mountain dog. And you get a big dog and a couple of people, and then the tables and start to get kind of hairy. Not.
Then we'll have to look at how much space
And
the
so that
city
it's
needs to
just
have
like-
between it. I
Yeah,
mean,
I know 5 feet seems like a lot, but when you're talking about a whole town sidewalk, it's all just a little bit tight. Okay, I won't say anymore about.
yeah, then that's gonna be a review just for, because they're all 5 feet around the whole town, so we have to figure out a way to change that.
Well, that's kind of the.
And
same
the
size,
balance
yeah.
between how many people we can put outside versus how much just goes only for sidewalk.
Yeah.
So,
But you know, that's the public sidewalk along most of now that you have, so. Anyway, we're here to talk about signs, so let's deal with that. Anybody have any more comments or motion to make?
That's good.
I can move to approve with, maybe I have two.
To recommend approval.
Yeah, recommend approval with these two items. One is to review the sign over the storefront 79, get that above the window frame so that it's all within the brick. And for the mounting of the electronic sign, I think I approve, you know, I would approve that. I don't know if we need to see a mock-up, but I think we can see what it's gonna be. We just take away the base. I mean, so maybe there's just one for me. No,
Okay,
one recommendation,
I'll second that.
all right.
very clean.
Well, another roll call.
Okay. Member Wicks,
Aye. Approve.
Member Kerwick,
Aye.
Member Dolman,
Aye.
Member Cottrell,
Aye.
and Chair Hunter.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
thank you, everybody. Appreciate the time.
Thanks.
And
Is
thank you
that
for the
open for
feedback. I promise we'll look into it. So-
Yeah.
Is that open?
But
Is the half?
it is, yeah, just opened last week, so it's all good to go. Yeah. And we really did build it as a really community focused place. It's a place that everybody who lives in town can come in and eat and drink in. Wine by the glass, $5, $6, cocktails are $7. Like, it's honestly really meant to be a community driven, affordable place where with or without families, everybody can go in and hang out. So you can buy a bottle of wine off the shelf and just sit down and drink it.
Yep.
So
Great.
Okay.
thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So I wanted to mention and share a couple things under staff report tonight. I'm trying to find so on 120 East Scranton, One thing they didn't have on their elevations when we saw them is metal louvers. Like this is their Lake Forest project as built, and they are gonna have metal louvers like this. I can switch over to the elevations, but this on three elevations. And I talked to Drew and he was thinking we should administratively approve it, but we wanted to give you guys a chance to give us any input.
What's the purpose of the loops?
For
Yeah.
air intake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're gonna go in that same spot, like above the window?
It is, yeah, it is a very similar spot. There we go. So on three elevations, not the front, but here you see, what are we on? The north elevation. So this is the back side here. And I could, so not the front, but, there's the west.
So but you said they're silver?
Yeah, right, that they're planning to do them silver like they did in Lake Forest.
Back to the Lake Forest picture again.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't do it the same color as the windows.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was kind of my original thought.
I feel like the silver is gonna really stand out.
Yeah. I mean, it's not on the street side because you'd be sucking in exhaust, but I'm sure that's the thinking.
I'm sorry, I'm missing something. It's gonna be on, they're gonna be on two sides or three sides?
Three, just not,
Not the street.
Not the side facing the library.
Right.
Right, not the Scranton side, but on the, what is that, Oak, I think, on the west, the Oak side and the other two sides.
so is that on the inside, is that just a passive grill or is that connected to their mechanical system?
I think it connects.
And
to
so
their
there's a
mechanical
soffit,
system.
there must be a
Yeah,
soffit then.
right. there
It's a
must be
window.
soffit, yeah.
I feel like
I mean,
they're,
maybe that's the ceiling level, right up, the windows are up
Or-
to the ceiling.
Yeah, it could be
It's
that,
the
either
ceiling
way.
level is low enough,
Yeah, maybe that, yeah, maybe that's the
That's what
right,
I would think.
that's the
Yeah.
right solution, yeah.
Right, yeah.
I feel like there it doesn't look so bad because you have that flagstone or whatever,
The
the
limestone.
limestone. And then you have the light, that's light, and then you have the lighter grill, but what do we have on ours? I can't remember. Do we have any buffer kind of thing like that, or is it?
Go to that.
No, like it's just sitting on top of the
Yeah, so,
soldier course.
right, it's a brick soldier course on ours.
I mean, they're, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have options really. I mean, what, besides a color recommendation,
Right.
right?
Right, so there's probably not much other choice because they have to have their intake
have 'em,
for
yeah.
code, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
How do other, why is this such a, what's the word?
And the other op-
Delicate solution.
The other option would be for them to do something on the roof, I
Yeah.
think, and bring it down through ducts in the inside
Right.
of the building.
Yeah,
Well,
You
not
know.
with the roof decks the way they have them.
yeah, I think that's what's pushing this
Yeah.
solution, right?
Yeah,
Interesting.
It's just a grill for the air conditioning system, right?
yeah, right.
It might
Air
be
intake,
air intake for the
for
whole
heating
system.
and AC, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Like,
got
could
a
they-
damper on the inside.
Could they,
Well, it
could
seems kind of-
they run brick across it and just leave openings?
That's what I would say. Could they do like a brick grill and
Yeah.
have it
Yeah.
behind?
That might be hard to get enough opening.
Yeah.
To get enough airflow there. I
It'd
think
be
that would
twice as long.
difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
To make
Yeah.
it the width of the
Basically
window.
twice as long.
Yeah.
Would that look better or worse?
Well, it would look okay between the column, but I don't think you could actually, I mean, if you think about like the whole brick masonry and then the grill, and I mean, that's a
Yeah, it's-
nightmare to detail.
And I'll tell you what, those things are cool.
Yeah.
Until a bird starts to build its nest.
Yeah, for sure, all those things.
The spiders. if
Yeah,
I mean,
that-
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
that's
Yeah.
That's a good
that's
point.
true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I guess our only thing is
I
to,
don't know why they couldn't be painted to match the brick.
yeah, I think that's.
I
probably
agree.
the
I
right
mean,
thing to do.
you run them into a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 kind of.
Yeah, of
color.
course, yeah,
Yeah. Because I think if they're silver, just stuck there, that's.
Like unit vents on a school.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
It'd be better if they could get a color that's factory finished that's acceptable.
Yeah.
Well, that would be if they, you know,
Yeah.
had them done in like in factory, it's kind of finish. It's a,
Yeah.
And do we like it that it's shorter than the width of the header course? Or it should match it? I don't know if either one is,
can you zoom in on that a little bit, Mike? Does that,
I can, yeah.
does that soldier course?
Look, I
all the
don't
way
think
through
it
or
that
just
is-
over the windows?
Just over the window.
it looks very last minute.
Yeah, because it kind of is, I think.
I think Matt's right. If it could.
Need the width of the soldier course.
Width of the.
Yeah, then it could be a little bit narrower because it's a whole,
Well, even if they're not any narrower. you
Yeah.
know, just, they look like a little hat.
yeah, they're just, yeah.
Hmm.
I hate when reality hits a
Yeah,
building.
Right. Right.
It's like,
Right, yeah. Well, that sounds like good feedback to
Yeah.
make the width of the soldier course and to paint it to match
Yeah.
the brick color.
yeah.
With the factory finish,
Yeah.
custom
Those
color,
factory finish, right?
if you can, yeah.
Would we like it better? I mean, if it wasn't sitting on those, I'm just wondering, like, what's the worst condition?
I
It's like,
don't
should it sit on the soldier course? Should it
be
be
centered,
centered and above?
or should it be, it's almost like if you were designing it and you knew they had to be there, you could make it so that all the windows incorporated it somehow, you know what I mean? And like,
Yeah, but
you put it below and then
Yeah.
put the soldier course above, but have the other ones be.
I'm sure at some point,
False or-
everybody's gonna forget about it, but right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like anything in design, like we're hyper focusing, but
Right.
might as well make it as good, but I would just say,
If it's not just sitting on the top of the.
I don't know,
bricks.
but then you have like a weird brick thing and then that,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's not
I
good
agree
either.
with
Oh, yeah.
That makes no sense.
Stand it out to match the.
Yeah, I think
match
we
the
just do
soldier
that.
course.
Okay.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
And
Okay.
Make it match the brick.
yeah. And then if they do that, can it be skins?
Well, we talked about that. It could be, but because it's a volume, but at some point, what happens mechanically, if you get too narrow,
Yeah.
the sides don't
It's
work.
just a
You just
whipple.
lose, yeah.
Oh,
You lose that.
Okay.
It's not actually,
Protects on the edges.
yeah, and vortex is the corner, the
Okay.
edges. Yeah,
Still if it comes back.
yeah.
Okay, well, thanks
Alright.
for that feedback. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is the 570 Evanston project. Tom Dobbins, he's planning to come back here in August for another workshop discussion with
Okay.
preliminary plans. And then he's planning to be at the PCZBA for their review mid-August, and then possibly back here with his final plans and.
So it's us, PCZBA, then us again. Is that
Yeah,
this?
that's right,
When
yeah.
he comes down.
Because
it's
his-
just a workshop.
His
right?
workshop is sort of an extra
Yeah.
step he added. He wanted to
Yeah.
get back to us with the workshop stuff because the code says for him to come here for final approval after PCZBA.
Yeah, right.
Yep,
Okay.
oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I felt like I felt a little bad about that.
So we didn't have the raise your hand in the audience thing.
Right. But there is nobody in the audience. So only here.
We're just for us.
That's
For
okay.
us. But I'm glad you asked about that anyway. I did check.
I'll let my wife
Then we
do
can
that, so
be
it
out of
doesn't
here.
seem. Yeah, we at least have our spouses.
Right.
Okay, well then I guess we're done.
Yeah.
Someone want to make a motion to
Let me make a
adjourn?
motion.
Move to adjourn. I can't say that word.
A second?
Adjourn, adjourn.
Oh, I'll second that.
Okay,
Will you?
All in favor? Aye.
okay. The
So-
meeting's adjourned.
Those events remind me of, that Northeastern University